Dig myself deep like Charlie Sheen, but the world doesn't care. It'll spin when I'm dead, and I need some therapy. Not depressed or just broke. Should I stay? Should I go?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Dead Noise. I'm Chris, and thanks to the power of Zoom, I am here with the Orlando, Florida-based pop punk band Felicity. How you guys doing?
What's
What's up?
up?
What's
We're
up? Glad to
great.
be here.
First things first, you guys have a new single called Charlie Sheen. It's been all over the place for good reason. I want to ask because the reception to another single you guys released late last year, Emo Trash, had a big reaction, but this one is even bigger than that. Were there any expectations going in after how big Emo Trash did?
I think there's always some form of expectation that we have for ourselves. We're always saying, can we push the streaming numbers? Can we blow up the song more than the last release that we did? And we were doing that. We had like Levitate, our first single had like 15,000 streams, I think.
Mhm.
And then the next song had like 20,000 and then 25 and 30. And then Emo Trash had done better than all the other singles that we had done. So obviously like we're like, we gotta outdo these numbers. And the fact that we did was just like, but doubled, I think,
Yeah.
like a lot of those numbers.
Oh
Wasn't
yeah.
around.
I
or
think
am
our
I
I think
tripping, or
our
like
our
the-
first week record before Charlie Sheen was
Yeah,
37,000,
that's the
and
37.
we like rounded it up to 40 because if we took into like Apple Music and all the other platforms, like Spotify had
That's fair.
37,000,
That's fair.
but Charlie Sheen had 150,000 just on Spotify. So it was just like absolutely
Yeah.
was absolutely groundbreaking. So it completely was game changing, and we owe a lot of credit to Point North and
sure.
and like that band for taking us under the wing and helping us out and just helping us write that song, and them just killing it on the song too. And definitely some help from the man himself, Charlie Sheen, for helping us out for the inspiration and for listening to the song. And we just did a lot of work promoting the song, and just there's just a lot of magic behind that song. I think the song kind of stands on its own. It's just a really fun, catchy song. So
Shout out to Charlie Sheen for real.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
you talked about collaborating with Point North. Was the song written with them in mind, or did that just kind of happen organically?
When we went in the studio at Point North, we knew that we wanted to work with them, and we were so glad that John, was able to fit us in the schedule, because like honestly, he's in LA, we're in Orlando. It's super hard to like collaborate a lot of the time. Sometimes people are on tour, they're playing shows, and it just can't happen. So we got the opportunity to do that. And when we went to the studio, we had nothing in terms of like a concept or anything like that. Everything was organically created together, which I thought was like the best thing that you can do, because sometimes when you have these preconceived thoughts of like, oh, I want to do something like this or something like this, it may not jive with the other artists as well. So or sometimes it does work out, but we just wanted to go with a clean slate and just go like, let's write something from scratch that we both really dig and see if we can make the catchiest pop punk banging chorus that we can make. And I think that's what came to be. So there was nothing before. Everything was created in the studio organically together.
It's definitely catchy. Um,
Yeah.
I I've been listening to your guys' stuff for the last I heard of you guys like last year. I started following you on social media, and I was like I I think it was before Emo Trash came out, and I just started listening to everything I could. And pop punk is a pretty diverse genre, so I really want to ask about your influences because I can tell by listening to different songs that there's probably a wide uh variety of it. Like just for a couple examples, because I'm a nerd with this stuff, I listen to Hit and Run and it sounds like early Belmont to me. I don't know if anyone's ever told you that.
We never
Um,
that,
No, any
but
of
that
that.
is a band we do like. But
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, I love that band. So
I think it's your Old Habits EP. Some parts of that remind me of very, very early Ice Nine Kills, like Last Chance to Make Amends era.
Okay. Oh, that's
cool,
cool.
cool.
Um,
We
so I'm,
also love those guys too.
Yeah, I love that band too. Yeah,
it's hard not to.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
So, as a collective band, do you guys like a lot of the same bands, or is it kind of just a melting pot of different inspirations?
Definitely, there's some stuff that definitely overlaps, and it's a combination of both of that. We kind of are burdened by the fact that we don't ever put ourselves in a box of genres. We had to create our own genre of music, which is called trash rock, which we describe as just if you put every genre of rock music into a trash can, and you shook it up and you dumped it out. So you may get a super pop punky song like Charlie Sheen, or maybe a more like heavy song like Hit and Run, or maybe a song like God Mode. But really what we do, especially with like the latest batch of songwriting, is we think of a song as an iconic rock song that we all universally love, and we kind of will take that as maybe like the blueprint of the song we want to write. Like, it'd be amazing to write a song like Smells Like Teen Spirit. Wouldn't that be awesome to have a song like Smells Like Teen Spirit? So why don't we like all agree that like that is a song that we all genuinely influenced us, and let's try to use that as not like try to copy it, but like use it as a blueprint of like, okay, it has a riff, it has a post-chorus, it has a chorus, it's this length, it's this tempo. Let's try to use that as a blueprint and just try to bring our own soul and write a song. And so that's kind of what we do, and that's maybe why you hear like a diverse influences, because we're not ever trying to write in one specific genre. And that's why we might have songs that borderline maybe metalcore, and songs that might be super pop punky or more progressive, or just old school emo, or whatever it might be.
That was like the perfect answer. When it comes to the lyrical content of Charlie Sheen, this is something I love with a lot of bands like Senses Fail, Alkaline Trio. Like, there's a sense of humor to it, and there's like the music side is very upbeat and positive, but then you listen to the lyrics and you're like, wait a minute.
Exactly.
Is that something that like you, is that also an intentional thing, or is that just part of the writing process? Because as a genre, I feel like emo, pop punk, that's kind of become like a formula, but some bands just do it really, really well, like you guys. So I kind of want to hear your guys' perspective on that.
I think a lot of the times, like how we are as people, like just in general, like outside of the band too, is that we are laughing a lot. We're always trying to like find comedic elements in everyday life. So and try not to be too serious sometimes. So I think it naturally finds its way into our music. I think sometimes I think we're consciously going in with the fact that we want to be a little bit more self-deprecating or funny with the lyrics, but make the song sound, a major key kind of sound to it, so it seems very upbeat and happy. But don't just like make the lyrics happy too, because then we're not we're teetering into like a world that we don't want to be. We want to bring some realness to the world as well, where it's not just always happy and like everything sounds beautiful. No, there's like happiness within like some comedic elements and some self-deprecating things, which is what we go through like in everyday life sometimes. Like everything's not always happy and like peaches and roses, but I think that's part of like who we are as people. And I think it's a conscious effort sometimes in the songs that we try and bring. And like, so yeah, there's that side of us. And then there's like the serious side as well that we bring in some of the songs like Hit and Run, like you talked about, and stuff like that, where there won't be as much like, I guess like comedic elements in those type songs. So yeah, that's kind of like what I think.
Yeah, no, you nailed it. Yep.
You guys are probably sick of being asked this. I don't know how many interviews you've done since Charlie Sheen dropped, but how did it feel to get Charlie Sheen's seal of approval?
It was awesome. It was awesome. We were really hoping we could like try to get him on camera or get him on the phone or somehow like finish up the storyline of trying to get him, because the night we tried to call his manager, we were really thinking of like every time as a band when we're releasing a song, we try to sit down and think of like, okay, how can we try to find a way to uniquely promote it without just like,
saying, listen to my song,
like lip syncing it in our backyard on TikTok, like doing some type of unique way. And we're like, what if we just tried calling his manager or agent, and we just tried calling different people who work with him and seeing if we can track down their phone numbers and try calling them and asking them for his phone number, and they'll just hang up on us, and that will be funny. But I think it'll be captivating of just like this adventure of us just trying to get Charlie Sheen on the phone, because we have a song called Charlie Sheen, and then maybe asking people to pre-save or something, like, we don't know, but like, let's just try to do that. So the next practice, Damien showed up with like a list of phone numbers of people we should try calling. And the first one we tried, Damien got like so far on the phone call. Like we got someone on the phone and she was really sweet. And she was like, yeah, let me call. I'll hang up. When we hang up, I'll call Charlie. I'll see if maybe he'll listen to the song and send me the song. And we're like, okay. And so we immediately got her in contact with our manager, and our manager sent her the song, and Charlie listened to it and loved it. And ended up being a whole thing where he was willing to give a quote about it. And it was like literally our first try. We got in touch with Charlie and we're like, well, what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to promote the song for 2 more weeks. And we succeeded on the first try.
It was incredible.
And
it was incredible.
That TikTok ended up getting over 1 million views on TikTok of just Damien, that first phone call. So we're like, well, what do we do now? Like, we still have to promote the song.
When you watch that video, you see like, at first we're in troll mode a little bit, where I'm basically saying my name is Dimitri Casablanca, which is my code name. And I'm like thinking immediately I'm going to get hung up on, and that doesn't go the way. And I'm like, as you watch that video, you just see the progression of me saying this actually could happen. And the fact that it did was like, it was incredible. But like you said, like, then we had to be like, all right, guys, we succeeded in that, but we need to like keep pushing the needle, see if we could do more things that kind of bring more awareness to the song, because we think the song is absolutely is great. And I think a lot of people are responding well to it. So, we're still going to do our best to get Charlie. We're trying to go to his mansion, so we'll see if we can make that happen.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And we'll do some videos if it happens, but we can't make any promises yet.
Stand outside his house with your Bluetooth, your big speaker,
I'll do it.
something like that.
Yeah, I might get trespassed, but like it might happen.
What's the word?
You got to do it for the meme sometimes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How would you feel if he actually showed up to one of your shows, like when you go on the West Coast or something like that?
God. It'd be so sick.
I don't know what I would do if I
don't know either.
Just on the side of the stage,
yeah.
It'd be like, so I really dig the song, man, and I want to invite you guys to I don't know what he would say.
If we could bring him on stage for when we play the song and get that on a TikTok, I think that's the money maker. That's the money shot, but who knows?
Maybe get him to like sing a part of it.
Yeah.
That would be
he
like
does do music, I
that's
think.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he did play piano in 2.5 Men, so
exactly. You never say never, you know.
Get him on stage, get him in the band somehow.
Yeah.
That should be really good.
Did you guys have people, like you said, you could kind of tell that you were in troll mode a little bit at the beginning of that TikTok. Did you have people, when you released that quote from Charlie Sheen, think that it was fake or that you guys were still trolling?
Yes, a lot of people didn't believe it, but most people did. I feel like we're a band that like we definitely are very meta, and it's like you never know what's real or not, and that's always been like there's people who've been following us for years, but way before TikTok, and we're always in troll mode no matter what. And we try to make things ridiculous enough that like if you have half a brain, you should know that we're always kind of trolling. But then sometimes things like this happen when we're not. And it's kind of hard because we're kind of like the band who cried wolf. But this was actually all real. But we can't really help it because most of the time we are trolling. So
Yeah.
I swear to God, it's real this time.
this is actually real. We don't know how to verify it. You just have to trust us.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you just gotta look in my eyes in the video.
As a fan, I gotta say congratulations on the success of this, because it is a great song, like you guys said, and every week seeing you guys post the numbers and how it's setting new records for you guys, I think that's really awesome. So like, for real, sincerely, congratulations on that.
Yeah, it means a lot.
And on the road, you guys are going to be going on tour a week from yesterday, as you said. By the time this comes out, it will probably be 4 days from then. How does it feel to be hitting the road?
So great. It's been probably honestly like 5 years since we've done a run of this magnitude. We've done some definitely some runs and stuff, but we're still an independent DIY band. We don't have a record label or anything like that. So like we try to do runs of shows and one-off shows, and we might get invited to like open for a big band, and we'll like have to fly out and do it and independently fund everything. But we haven't done a tour like this in probably 5 years. So it's definitely like putting ourselves out there, and we've kind of been in the lab working on music for the last 2 years. And then the 2 years before that was kind of really stunted by COVID. So it's kind of been like one of those things where it's been kind of a victim of circumstance of, we had COVID really like derail us for a couple years as a band. And then we came out of that and we released a full-length album. And then that had like songs like The Weather, and we kind of became a TikTok kind of viral band right after that. And then it was like, okay, well, now we need to go record more music
Literally,
before we can go like gear up to go do more stuff. So we really were like, let's go record the next batch of songs that are going to be the best songs we ever made. And we really wanted to have as much ammunition as possible. So we've been working on 16 songs, and then we did Emo Trash and Charlie Sheen on top of that. So we have a lot of music we've been working on. Some of the other songs that we released last year were all part of those batches, and we have so much more music that we're still have ready to release and in the coffers. And so this opportunity to go on tour with Between You and Me, which is a band we've looked up to and admired for like, since probably 2017. Actually, we were just talking about it. Our last show before COVID was opening for them as like a local support band. And now like our first tour after COVID, we're going on tour with them, and just like,
that's pretty crazy.
It's pretty awesome. But we've been waiting for an opportunity for a band to be like, we're going to bring Felicity on tour. And as an independent band, it's like, that's the opportunity we've been waiting for to make this jump. And so we couldn't be more excited. And we're really to see kind of what it's like, because we're a completely different band from the last time we went out and did tour, where it was kind of like, we're playing those venues like we were talking about at the beginning, where it's like, we're just hoping a few kids show up and we have no idea what to expect. It kind of feels like that feeling all over again. So it's really good. And hopefully this is just the first of many, many more coming up.
What are you expecting as far as the reception goes from Between You and Me's fan base when you're opening for them on select shows of this tour?
I think it should be fairly well, because a lot of those fans, Between You and Me is from Australia, and we have such a big fan base in Australia. It's always basically tagging us in our TikTok saying, we need you guys to come out to Australia and like tour with them and play more shows with them. So I thought that was really cool that a lot of their fan base in Australia was tagging us in our TikTok saying that we need to play shows with them in Australia. And we're like, oh, we're actually playing the 4 dates in the US with them. So I think the reception will be really well. And I think a lot of our music kind of crosses the genres with their kind of music really well. So I think it should be a good reception, but we just got to make sure that we also perform really well live and just sound good too, because that's another big part of like playing live. It's not just about listening to the music. Now you have to show people that you can perform, And
That's true. I don't think you guys will have to worry about that too much though, but I'm probably biased.
Thank you.
We talked earlier about social media, and I gotta ask, just because of it's a necessary evil in terms of marketing in the music industry, but you guys do get really creative with it. And as a result, I came up with this question. How many stores have you gotten kicked out of in the process of marketing your music?
Oh my God.
Not as many. We like to flex when we do get kicked out, because it's kind of a badge of honor. But we've been kicked out of a Lowe's and a Target and a Home Depot.
Target, Home Depot, Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
The Taco Bell was the worst one.
The Taco Bell's the worst one. And we sometimes it's the same store multiple times.
True.
But yeah. But probably less than 10, more than 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Individual locations.
We have to start tallying it up though, for sure. Like just to make sure that we keep those numbers accurate.
But it's more like we inflate the numbers, because it's like, it's like your stats. Like it's like a guy adding inches to his height. You're like, oh, I'm 6 feet tall. Like, yeah.
I'm 5'11", so I know the feeling.
Exactly. We wish we got kicked out more. Put it that way. It makes the content better.
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, I'm surprised it hasn't happened more, just because for anyone who's watching this that might not have seen it, it's not like, oh, let me just walk through the aisles of Lowe's. No, I'm jumping in the bathtub display, blasting my music with a Bluetooth speaker.
We also don't want to be overly disrespectful. We also don't want to like cause any property damage. We also like are trying to tread a fine line of like, if we get kicked out, that's great for the content, but we also don't want to like potentially do something that would truly disrupt someone or ruin someone's day.
Yeah.
So it's a weird line we're trying to walk on.
Yeah.
Because we are respectful people.
We are. It's a business too. So we're not trying to like, we're, like,
we don't want to affect them to lose customers
Yeah.
also. So it's like,
and it's cool because sometimes a lot of those businesses will at moments interact with our content at some point. I think it was Lowe's. I think had messaged on our page when they saw us in the bathtub. I think it was that one actually, or when they locked me in the freezer. I forget which one, but they wrote like a comment that said like something like those acoustics or something like are the best in that area. And I was like, all right, Lowe's, get in.
They're
on
like,
it.
they're like the bathtub aisle has the best acoustics
something about
or
that,
something like that.
And I was like, I thought that was awesome. Like,
Waffle House has commented on our stuff. Like some of the brands are like, they're in on the joke sometimes and stuff. So yeah.
That's always fun. I know Wendy's is really good with their social media. So like maybe that's a place to hit up.
Yep. Yeah. We got kicked out of. We have been kicked out of Wendy's.
But it was because we were dressing up in the Wendy's costume.
Yeah.
Well, we made Corey dress up in the Wendy's costume, and our drummer just came in and just slapped him, and it was very chaotic during that time, and they definitely didn't want us in there, and that was another one that was pretty wild, but. Yeah, since then we haven't been back to Wendy's, but I think we should go back.
Maybe it's that's the great thing about being on tour. We'll have plenty of opportunities to do some fun stuff.
There's gonna be more Wendy's.
Yeah,
exactly.
Especially outside of Orlando. We don't want to like ruin all of our reputations in our local places that we actually want to go to. So
we can't go to half these places.
Yeah, that can always be inconvenient at the very least, right?
Yeah.
Now, like you said, you guys are respectful people. It is a business. You try to be professional to a certain extent. But also, when it comes to social media, there's a relatability or something when it comes to trolling and having a sense of humor. And you guys walk that line very well. Is it hard to know when you cross it or if you cross it?
I think that's a really good point. I think for a lot of reasons, because sometimes social media, a lot of people on there, whether it be when they're interacting with us or just other bands and other people on social media, you'll see sometimes like just people like just saying the meanest things because they realize that in person, I feel like they won't say it to you, but online they feel like they can say a lot of things to you. So a lot of times we like to take like the high road when it comes to those things. If it would be like, people like saying negative things about us, we're just like, well, thanks for listening to the music and things like that. But a lot of times when people are like trolling back with us, we like kind of enjoy it and we just welcome it back. And we always try and like not take it to the point where like we want ourselves to be looked at in like a positive light, where we'll take the high road if it's like someone kind of like trying to put us down or things like that. And I think a lot of our fans see that and they're like, that's another reason why they love Felicity, because we don't really like to go down that rabbit hole of like just taking it too far where we're like, why are you doing that? Like, there's no reason for that. We just like to like ignore a lot of those things, but sometimes it can be, because sometimes you want to like take it a little bit further and you're like, no, I need to have like some self-control, like when it comes to like social media, and understand that it is social media at the end of the day. You should be able to have fun. You should be able to troll people, and you're hoping that people also do that back with you. You know what I mean? Because like that could be a really fun thing when other people, other bands and other artists and fans do it back with you, because they do find a relatability with it. And like I can joke around with Felicity and they can take it and they don't get like super, upset about anything or stuff like that. So like I think it's like we always like find that line, and we know like kind of like don't take it to another level that you don't need to. But what do you think? I don't know. Like, that's my perspective.
Yeah. And when it comes to going into the stores and stuff, it's like we always want to feel a little bit uncomfortable, because if we're not uncomfortable, then it's probably not gonna be funny. It's always like we always try to push a little bit further. Like we started where we would only push the shopping cart in the parking lot, and then it had to be you in the shopping cart, and then you in the shopping cart in the store, but just in like the back of the store,
and selling the merch.
Then it was like you in the shopping cart in the front of the store, right through the like main aisle way,
Yeah,
right
that one was
in the
wild.
front, and where all the customers are in Walmart, and then it's just like we try to push it a little bit further and further out of our own comfort zone, because
You get those looks. You get those
Yeah.
looks though. It's like
Yeah.
it's like it's funny like when you look back at like all that stuff, but in the moment sometimes it could be like, I get it. I get why they're doing like that.
Yeah.
But no one really says anything like bad to us or anything like
Yeah.
that. So
I was wondering because I'm not much of a TikToker myself, but I always see people just go out in public and do the most random things. And it's like, it's not like you guys where it's like you can tell there's a joke behind that you guys are trolling, you're in on the humor. Like people have like really main character syndrome, and it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I,
oh
I was
yeah.
I was curious if anyone's ever said anything to you thinking that like you guys were taking it like really seriously.
There's been a few people sometimes in passing that they're like, what are these guys doing? Like, why are they doing this? Just like cursing at us or something like that. And I'm like, God, calm down. We're not even we're not even bothering you. Like we actually move the cart sometimes out of their way. So we'll turn it. So like, but
Most of the time,
yeah, it's like-
customers, 99% of the
most of the
time,
time they
leave us
don't.
alone. Employees, most of the time, leave us alone. Every now and then, an employee will just like an employee or a manager will just ask us to leave, and that's basically the extent of the reactions we get. Most employees just walk by and will chuckle and just be like, I'm not paid enough to deal with
Yeah.
this shit.
Or they'll get in on it.
Or
Like
they'll get on it.
like
Well,
at
it's the best.
Winn Dixie, that was
Yeah.
the Zamboni. What,
Yeah,
what is that
the
called?
guy cleaning the floors was loving it.
Like
He was in, yeah.
he wanted to be in like 3 or 4. Then I'm like, let's go, man. And I honestly think that we brightened his day that day. To be honest with you, I think he loved it. He was like smiling, laughing. He had the rock sign up, and he was just like he was digging it. And I was like, you know what? Like, then we're bringing some like joy to some people out there as well, as we're not like causing many problems. So.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, and it's kind of cool how you can affect somebody like that just with like a joke.
Literally,
Um,
like it was so cool to see that he was like he dug it so much. And a lot of sometimes people will even ask us like, "Are you guys in a band? Like, what are you guys doing?" And like they'll actually discover us from that, and it's like cool. Like, and who knows? Sometimes they'll come to a show and things like that.
yeah, I mean, look, I discovered you guys through social media, and here I am talking with you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
as a
exactly.
fan, this is a lot of fun.
Cool.
So,
That's cool. That's cool.
um, last thing before I have a closing segment, but before we get to that, I do have one more question about Charlie Sheen. I like to ask this whenever I interview someone about a new single. What is it that you want fans to take away from when they hear it?
That's a really good question. I think when we were going into the studio for that song and we were talking with John and like the concept that we wanted to go along with it, it was the fact that um it was also to kind of not have the fact to beat yourself up about things, kind of in the sense of Charlie Sheen had this massive rise to fame and then didn't make the best decisions, admittedly, through himself saying it as well. And he kind of found himself on a trajectory downwards and almost as if he couldn't escape it, like he was just going down, down and down. And the song was just to have that kind of message that like that can have like you can keep finding yourself going further and further down, just sometimes depressed, you don't know what's going on in your life, but there is a way back and the world will just keep spinning, and you just have to kind of keep spinning with it in a sense and just go on with your day, try and be better than you were the following day, and just understand that if you do make mistakes, it happens, take ownership for it, but try and be better. And like it doesn't have to end for you there, because we were also talking about like Charlie Sheen has kind of been on the upswing on some of the things that he's been doing now. Like I think Drew had said like he has like a couple shows that he's like kind of making his way back into the limelight, so to speak. So it's just showing that like don't count yourself out is kind of what the message I want to leave like for fans, and we want to leave. Just don't count yourself out when you think it's like too late for you or you can't come back from something. No, you can. Like the world will keep spinning and you just try and do your best, and things will be hopefully okay if you give it your all.
Yeah, I think you nailed it.
What he said.
Yeah.
So, last thing before I let you go, I have a speed round for you. I do this with everybody. It's always my favorite part of every interview I do. I got 5 questions. You could elaborate if you want. You could keep it rapid fire. The first question, your favorite song to play live?
For me, it's probably I really love playing Levitate. It's one we released. It's the first single of the new batch of songs, and it's high energy. It's tricky to play for us on like the instruments, and it's got a guitar solo. It's really fun.
It's fun. The
Yeah.
Levitate is great.
And it comes out great live. It's one of the songs that's more fun live than recorded.
True. I'd say the weather for me. I just think when the guitars cut out and everyone's singing that chorus with me, it just gives me another energy. It just gives me like another jolt of like life, and I think that's such a great thing for like a singer.
The next question, your favorite city to play in?
That's tough. That's tough.
That is really tough.
As a
think
Florida band too, I'm sure there's a lot of options.
Mhm.
I think just because I'm thinking back to the summer when we played, when we opened up for the Used, and then we came back in 2 weeks. We
Yeah.
went back to and we played LA
Yeah.
Emo Night. Both of those shows were sold out. So for me, like it would probably be LA just because of that experience that we've had. But there's
Yeah.
so many places that we haven't played that we want to play as a band. So
Yeah.
my answer will probably change at some point for
Yeah.
sure. But like right now, I think in my memory of what I'm thinking about
Yeah.
recently, I think I would
Yeah.
say probably LA.
I'll go with that too. Let's go with LA.
Your most embarrassing moment on stage?
I got too drunk on stage, and
man.
I
The pick
I only had
situation.
one guitar pick, and I dropped it, and I just was like trying to get it off the ground, and I couldn't get like my fingernail off it, and I was just like missing it and couldn't get it, and it was just like took forever, and eventually our bass player Mike had to come get it for me, and apparently it was just like everyone was just could tell what was going on. I was like almost falling down, like couldn't get my balance trying to get it. It was pretty bad. It was a long time ago, but Mike always gives me such a hard time for it. But I don't really drink before shows now because of that. It's like my only time being super drunk.
Your dad was there though. He was buying you a lot.
It
You
was
were
my
drinking a lot.
birthday. It was
your
my birthday too.
good.
Yeah,
So, like,
this is a long time ago.
we always we give each other grace when it comes to certain things like that. But that's yours.
Yep.
Okay, I think mine would be early on when we were playing. We would play this venue in Orlando called Bombshells, and it was this dive bar. Like everything that you could imagine in a dive bar, it was. And like we loved it for that too, because we would always play. And I remember that we had some songs that we didn't have recorded, and I completely changed the lyrics, or I sang the wrong lyrics, I think, for that
Yeah.
song, but it still sounded in the key of that song. And everyone after was like, you do know that you sung the lyrics for that song on that song, and then you sing the lyrics for that song on that song. And I had no idea. So I'd say that was my most embarrassing moment. The fact that I didn't even know. Like, so I think that was pretty embarrassing.
Pretty
to me.
impressive though.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, hell, I would have owned that. I'd be like, yeah, I meant to do that.
Well, yeah, sometimes, but I'm like, still, I'm like, why would I do that? I was also very, very tipsy that day, but probably everything is in relation to that. Like too many drinks.
Your favorite thing to do outside of music?
I think for me, like I love finding like trails, and like I love going on like hikes, and like going out, being outside, and like finding new places that like are secluded kind of. I like being away from a lot of the noise sometimes, and that's kind of like my favorite, I think, thing that I like to do outside of music.
Yeah, I really love I love football, not necessarily playing, but like I love the NFL. So like consuming sports content, like NFL, like going to sports games, going to football games. I love and I'm a Patriots fan. So I'm just like anything to do with the Patriots. And other than that, like I love going to the movies.
Sure, movies are
I love
fun too.
going to the
Yeah.
movie theater. That's one of my favorite things to do as far as like leisure stuff to do.
Do you have a favorite genre by any chance?
Of movies,
Mhm.
probably horror or sci-fi. So
Good
I
to
know
know.
this is perfect. This is perfect. Yeah.
I had a feeling because I think I've seen you post like horror related stuff here and there, but
Yeah.
I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
And the last question, always my favorite one, the song you wrote that means the most to you.
The weather is always going to be a really important song to us because of just like it's just like just changed everything for us as far as like it proved that like that's a song that most of that song was written by the band before we went into the studio. A lot of songs like we've written in the studio with our producers, and we have a big part in writing the songs with our producers, but The Weather was a lot of it we wrote ourselves. We brought it to the studio, and then we just kind of like rewrote it in the studio. But just to have a song that got 1 million streams on Spotify when all of us have been in bands before that, like we were just happy if we got to play a show, and then to have music on Spotify that like is accepted by the masses, that went viral on TikTok, that people listen to every day, that people in other countries discover and then buy merch from us, and we ship to like foreign countries, and to just like be on a path to where it's like, wow, we're in a band where like our dream is to be in a band where like that's what our life is. And to have a song that's like that song is kind of what set us on that path is always really important. So I'd say that's like definitely a super important song. As far as like a song that I think is really important to the whole band, like maybe like lyrical content wise, for me might be a song like C'est La Vie, which is about just like losing a loved one, but specifically about our guitar player Corey, who's not here right now, but about his father passing away, which is just a really, really important sentimental song for him and for the band. And when we wrote it was like at a very, very vulnerable, important
A lot
time.
of people connect to
And a
it
lot
so
of
much.
a lot of people connect to it who listen to it.
Yeah.
And so that's a really, really important one too.
I think I would probably say both of those as well. And I think an older song of ours like that sometimes comes to my mind when I have to ask this, when we get asked that question. It's the song is called Hang On. And I just remember just it was very, very it's been being in a band is very hard, as you know, a lot of people know. Just it's hard to like continue on that path when, especially when you're self-funded, you're not really, you can't count on anyone else to do your job. You have to do your job, and you have to do it well. And I think I always remember that song and the lyrics in that song, and just saying like keep hanging on because it's going to be better. It's going to be better. Every single day is going to be better. So that's a song that definitely rings true to me with the lyrics.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was the perfect note to end on. That was everything I had for you guys.
Cool.
Was there any closing message to any Felicity fans watching?
No, I mean, if this comes out before our tour, hopefully you can come see us at one of these
Hell yeah.
tour dates. And if you follow us on social media, then you can check us out at We Are Felicity, and any of those profiles, our link in bio will be able to where you can find us on Spotify or Apple Music, and we'll have links to all of our tour dates and upcoming shows. And we'll be at So What Music Fest in Dallas, Texas. So if you're going to that, we'll also be playing there, and then we'll hopefully be having more tour dates and more shows announced this year, and we'll be hopefully releasing a new song every 6 weeks to 2 months for the rest of the year. We're going to have as much music released as the rest of the year, and we're just going to keep releasing singles and songs just like Charlie Sheen.
Banger
all
after
year long.
bangers.
Yep, and we're going to
Banger
keep
after-
trying to top the stream numbers every
Exactly.
single time.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for the time. I had a lot of fun talking with you.
Same.
And I'm gonna see you guys live one day. It's gonna
That'll
be my
happen.
mission.
Absolutely.
To everyone watching this, thank you so much for watching. And until the next interview, stay tuned, stay scared, and I'll catch you later.